The scream cut through the quiet suburban afternoon like a blade. Former Navy SEAL Ronan Hale froze mid-step, every instinct in his body snapping awake the way they had countless times during missions overseas. But this wasn't a battlefield. This was a small, peaceful neighborhood where he was trying to rebuild a simple life for himself and his 8-year-old daughter, Mira. Yet the sound, high-pitched, terrified, desperate, made a chill race down his spine. Without thinking, he sprinted toward the park at the end of the block, the place he usually took Mira after school. The sun was bright, shadows sharp, birds scattered from trees as he ran. When he reached the clearing, his blood iced. 3 grown men had cornered a trembling teenage girl near the benches, their movements threatening, surrounding her like wolves. And then Mira, standing on the far side, cried out with all the fear in her tiny voice, "Daddy, please help her. If you believe in kindness, courage, and second chances, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Chronicles. It truly supports stories that matter." Ronan didn't hesitate. Years of training blasted through him, but this time it wasn't for a mission or a nation. It was for his daughter's plea, for a terrified child who could have been anyone's daughter. His heavy boots dug into the grass as he charged forward. The men turned, startled, but not startled enough to back down. The biggest of them stepped toward Ronan, laughing like he couldn't possibly imagine what he was about to face. Ronan didn't speak. He didn't negotiate. He simply moved with a precision that only someone forged in the fires of combat could. In seconds, the first man hit the ground, gasping from a strike to the ribs that stole the air from his lungs. The second rushed him recklessly and met the same fate with a quick, disabling blow. The third tried to flee, but Ronan caught him by the collar and pinned him down until bystanders began to gather and call the police. The teenage girl sobbed with relief. Mira ran into her father's arms, and as sirens finally echoed toward the park, Ronan felt what he hadn't felt in a long time: purpose. Later that day, when everything calmed and police took the men away, Ronan walked home with Mira holding his hand tightly. Her small fingers curled around his like she was afraid to let go. Passing neighbors whispered, watching the quiet single father with the haunted eyes and silent strength. Some admired him, others feared him, but none knew the truth, that Ronan wasn't trying to be anyone's hero. He was just trying to be a father who didn't fail the one person who still believed he was invincible. That night, in their small house filled with warm sunlight and soft shadows, Ronan tucked Mira into bed. She looked at him in that innocent way children do when they believe their parents control the world. "Daddy," she whispered, "you saved her. You saved that girl." Ronan brushed her hair back gently, but his heart tightened. He didn't want Mira to grow up thinking violence solved everything, even when it protected someone. So he told her something he wished someone had told him years ago. "I didn't save her because I'm strong," he said softly. "I saved her because doing nothing would have broken me." Mira nodded sleepily. To her, kindness was strength, and Ronan secretly wished he still saw the world the way she did. When he stepped out of her room, the quiet house settled around him. For a moment, the weight of his past settled too. His life as a SEAL had left scars on his body, on his heart, and in memories he avoided whenever possible. He'd left the Navy after Mira's mother passed away, choosing to raise his daughter on his own, choosing ordinary life over missions that took him far from home. But he never quite escaped the soldier inside him. Helping that girl had reminded him of who he used to be, and who he still was beneath the civilian clothes and attempts at normalcy. The next morning, sunlight poured through the curtains, painting golden stripes on the living room floor. Ronan was making Mira's breakfast when a firm knock sounded on the door. 3 precise knocks, evenly spaced, the kind that made every hair on the back of his neck rise. He opened it and stopped cold. Standing there in a crisp uniform was Admiral Grant Soren, one of the highest-ranking officers Ronan had ever served under. A man who rarely visited anyone personally unless something monumental was happening. His posture was rigid, his gray hair neatly combed, his keen eyes studying Ronan with the sharpness of someone who missed nothing. "May I come in?" the Admiral asked. Ronan nodded, stepping aside. Mira peeked from the hallway, confused by the uniformed stranger. Ronan gently motioned her back to her room. The Admiral took a slow look around the small house. It was clean, simple, lived in, filled with drawings Mira had taped to the fridge and sunlight that made the space feel warm. "You handled 3 armed men yesterday," the Admiral said finally, his voice calm but carrying weight. Ronan stiffened. "Word travels fast," he muttered. "It does when it involves a former SEAL neutralizing multiple threats without weapons," Admiral Soren replied. Ronan didn't respond. He didn't want praise or recognition. All he wanted was to protect his daughter and keep trouble far from her world, but the Admiral's visit suggested trouble wasn't done with him yet. The Admiral cleared his throat and continued. "The girl you helped is the niece of a federal intelligence officer," he said slowly. "Those men weren't random criminals. They were connected to a trafficking ring our units have been tracking for months. Your intervention disrupted a planned abduction." Ronan's chest tightened. He hadn't known any of that. He had acted because a child needed help, not knowing he had walked straight into the center of a much darker storm. When the mission finally ended, the Admiral personally thanked him, but Ronan shook his head. "Don't thank me," he said quietly. "Thank the little girl who asked me to help." The Admiral smiled with rare warmth. "Then I thank her too." Ronan returned fully to his quiet life after that, but something inside him had changed. He no longer saw his past as a burden. He saw it as a gift, one he could use whenever the world needed him. And Mira, growing braver and kinder each day, never stopped believing that her father was someone extraordinary, not because he fought battles, but because he never ran from doing what was right. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Chronicles. Your support helps more people discover these meaningful stories. Special request, please comment a heart emoji if you believe kindness still makes heroes in the real world. And so, under the warm light of another peaceful afternoon, Ronan held Mira's hand as they walked home from school, knowing deep down that sometimes the greatest battles a person fights are the ones fought in silence, and the greatest victories are the lives quietly changed along the way.